Let's set the stage. Let's see where your thinking is before we start today's experience. I'm going to ask a question, and you'll have four choices. There are no right answers, just the answer that's right for you. And your answer now will let you know at the end what you learned. The first answer is, I know everything there is to know about primary elections. The second one is, I'm pretty confident about my understanding of primary elections. The third one, I'm not sure how much I know about primary elections. And the last one is, I have no clue. So answer this for yourself. How well do you think you understand what primary elections are for and how they work? Let's take a look at it. So during a primary, registered voters go to their local polling place and cast their ballot for their favorite candidate. However, how they do this depends on the type of primary their state holds. The most common types of primaries are open, closed, and semi-closed. In open primaries, any registered voter can pick candidates from any political party. It allows votes from eligible voters even if they aren't registered with that party and without changing their party affiliation. Closed primary elections limit participation to registered voters who are affiliated with a particular party. The election for a closed primary is more restricted, as voters declared to be party members are the only ones who can vote. The semi-closed primary or mixed primary is the middle ground. Here, independent voters or unaffiliated voters can take part in the primary election of any political party they choose. And meanwhile, voters with political affiliations can only take part in their political party's primary election. New Jersey has a semi-closed or mixed primary, and you'll learn shortly how you can vote if you haven't yet affiliated with a political party. Let's visualize how a primary election and a general election work together to elect officials in New Jersey. There are two parties that will hold primaries in June, and we'll call one the Blue Party and one the Red Party. Let's pretend that the Blue Party has three people, each of whom would like to be the candidate on the ballot in November. They each run a campaign, and they each try to convince voters that they are the best blue candidate for the whole state. In June, the people who belong to the Blue Party vote in the primary for the blue candidate they like best. And let's pretend the Red Party also has three people who would like to be their party's candidate in November. They too run campaigns to convince voters in the Red Party that they are the best choice for the state. And in June, the people who belong to the Red Party vote in the primary for the red candidate they like the best. One candidate in each party is the winner. Between June and November, those two winners, one from the Blue Party and one from the Red Party, do everything they can to convince every single registered voter, no matter what party they belong to choose them on election day. And then on election day, or early voting days, or when you get your vote by mail ballot, voters of both parties and voters who are unaffiliated, meaning they don't belong to either party, can go to the polls or vote by mail and vote privately for the candidate of their choice. Voters can choose to vote for any candidate. They're not required now to just vote for the candidate in the party they belong to. Instead, since your vote is private, no one but you will know who you vote for, and so you can follow your own conscience and use your own knowledge of what the job entails and the personal qualities of the candidate to make your choice. If you want to shape politics, there are few ways to be more impactful than voting in a primary. Why is that, you're probably thinking? Well, nationwide, primaries only see an average of 20% turnout. So with fewer people voting, every vote carries more weight. More people voting means the results are more representative. And if you vote, that means more representative of the things you care about. Primary voters are, generally speaking, older and whiter. Therefore, they aren't representative of the full voting population. More people voting in the primaries means that one segment of citizens isn't calling all the shots. Primaries separate stronger candidates from weaker ones. Primary voters, however, are often more partisan than general election voters, which is how fringe candidates sometimes end up in the general election. More primary voters can mitigate this, and the candidates can be more representative of all. And even if your favorite candidate loses the primary, if he or she gets a good percentage of the votes, there's a really good chance that the winning candidate will adopt some of their platform to appeal to a broader group of voters. The League of Women Voters has a web page called vote411.org with information about voting, including what's on your ballot. But we'll tell you more about Vote 411 in a minute. So does ballotpedia.org. Ballotpedia and Vote 411 are both nonpartisan websites, which means they don't take sides in an election. Often, candidates will respond to Ballotpedia's request for information before they do Vote 411, and sometimes it's the reverse. So check both sites for unbiased information. To find out about the candidates using Ballotpedia.org, first find your state, and then click on it, and you'll see on the left-hand side of the page some years. Click on that. And when you do, what will pop up is a list of all of the candidates in the Democratic Party and all of the candidates in the Republican Party who are running in the primary election. When you click on any candidate's name, what will pop up is information about that particular candidate. You can read their biography, you will find out the elections that they've run for, you'll find out some personal positions, and you'll find out public service. And if you look to the right, there's a photograph, and underneath are links to their social media accounts, which you can check out to find their personal opinions, and then you can also find out about or follow the social media accounts. So, are you ready to vote to choose the candidate that you want to be on the ballot in November? Well, you are if you're registered, and if you're affiliated with either the Republican or the Democratic Party, and if you learn about the candidates and choose the one you think has the best combination of previous experiences and the right ideas about the future and the right personality to make those things happen. Affiliate, you say? How do I do that? Well, for a first-time voter, there are two ways. You can fill out a new voter registration form and check the box at the top that says political party affiliation, and then go down and complete line 13. Check yes, and then enter the name of the party you prefer. Or, if you're a first-time voter, and only that time, when you go to the polls, the poll worker will ask you which primary, the Republican or the Democrat, that you want to vote in. and then they'll give you the ballot for that party. When you tell the poll worker your preference, you are then affiliated with that party, and you'll stay affiliated with that party until you decide you want to change your affiliation. And anytime you want to change your affiliation, you can do so by filling out a new voter registration form and checking the box at the top that says political party affiliation and then completing line 13. I mentioned vote411.org before. Vote411 does more than just tell you about the candidates. It is your one-stop shopping for all things voting, including a first-time voters checklist, which is really handy. Another excellent source of information about, with the ability to register right online, is the New Jersey Voter Information Portal. Do you notice that the box at the right says student registration and student voting? Click on that, and then you'll come to a page that's tailored just for youth. And did I mention that voting rights in New Jersey are expanding for young people? Well, right now in New Jersey, you need to be 18 to vote in any election, except in Newark, where you can be 16 or 17 and vote in a school board election. But starting in January of 2026, in elections after January 2026, if you will be 18 on the November general election day, you will be able to vote in the primary election for that general election, even though you are still 17. Go Jersey! We have some of the country's most inclusive voting laws for young people, and there are more in the works. Use them. Use your voice. Use your vote. We need youth. So now think back to that first question that I asked you. How well do you think you understand what primary elections are for and how they work? We hope we've added to your knowledge, but more importantly, we hope you are motivated to register and that you vote